The research ship New Sol drifted quietly through space near the third moon of Kepler 442b. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge watching his crew work. The ship was not big or fancy. It was built for science, not for fighting. 37 people lived and worked on this vessel. They were explorers, not soldiers. Dr. Soo-jin Park bent over her console in the science lab. She was studying rock samples from the moon below. The samples looked normal. Just another dead rock floating in space. Nothing special about it. She had seen hundreds of worlds like this one. "Captain, I am getting some strange readings," said Ha-Nul Cho from her station. She was the communications officer. Her job was to listen for signals and talk to other ships. Right now, she was frowning at her screen. Dae-ho walked over to her station. "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures. Big ones. Coming this way." "Fast!" Ha-Nul typed quickly on her keyboard. "Sir, whatever it is huge." In the engine room, Woo-bin Lee was fixing a broken pipe. He was the chief engineer. He knew every bolt and wire on the New Sol. When the ship's alarm started ringing, he dropped his tools and ran to the bridge. "Captain, what is happening?" Woo-bin asked as he entered the bridge. Before Dae-ho could answer, space around them began to change. A massive tear opened in the darkness. Light poured out of it like water from a broken dam. Then something came through that tear. Something big. The alien ship was longer than 10 city blocks. It was dark metal with sharp edges. It looked like a knife made for killing. Strange lights pulsed along its sides. The humans had never seen anything like it. "My God," whispered Dr. Soo-jin as she joined them on the bridge. "Look at the size of that thing." The alien ship moved toward them slowly. It was not in a hurry. It acted like a cat that had found a mouse. The humans watched it come closer and felt very small. Inside the alien ship, Commander Thek-vor studied the small human vessel on his screen. The humans looked weak and soft. Their ship was tiny and had no weapons that he could see. This would be easy work. Thek-vor was tall and covered in dark scales. His people were called the Vorthak. They were hunters who traveled from star to star. They looked for weak species to capture and study. They had done this many times before. The humans would be no different. "Scan their ship," Thek-vor ordered his crew. "I want to know everything about these creatures." The Vorthak began scanning the New Sol with powerful energy beams. The human ship shook as the beams hit it. Lights flickered on and off. Computers made strange noises. "They are scanning us," said Ha-Nul. "The energy is very strong. Our systems are having trouble." Captain Dae-ho had been in space for 20 years. He had seen many things, but nothing like this. He knew they were in danger. "Try to talk to them," he told Ha-Nul. Ha-Nul sent a message on all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, this is the human ship New Sol. We come in peace. We are scientists studying this system. Please identify yourselves." The Vorthak received the message. They laughed. Every species they met tried to talk first. It never helped them. Words were for the weak. "These humans want to talk," said one of the Vorthak officers. "Just like all the others." Thek-vor nodded. "Send them our standard message. Tell them to surrender now or be destroyed." The message that came back to the humans was not friendly. A deep voice spoke in broken human language. "Small creatures, you will surrender your ship. You will come with us for study. If you fight, you will die. Choose now." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone looked at Captain Dae-ho. They were scientists and engineers. They had never been in a fight like this before. Their ship had no weapons and no shields. "Sir, what do we do?" asked Woo-bin. Dae-ho thought quickly. They could not fight. They could not run. The alien ship was too big and too fast. But maybe they could learn something. Maybe they could warn other humans about this. "Danger. Ha-Nul, record everything," he said. "Send the data to Earth on a tight beam. Use the emergency channel." "But, Captain, that will take hours to reach Earth. By then we might be dead," Dae-ho finished for her. "I know. Do it anyway." Dr. Sujin was already working at her station. I am analyzing their energy signatures. Maybe I can learn something about their technology. The Vorthak ship moved even closer. Weapon ports opened along its sides. The humans could see energy building up inside them. The aliens were getting ready to fire. "Incoming transmission," said Hanul. The same deep voice came through the speakers. "Time is finished. You did not surrender. Now you will be taken by force." The first energy blast hit the new soul on the side. The ship spun around like a toy. People fell down. Lights went out. Emergency power kicked in with a red glow. "Damage report!" shouted Daeho as he got back to his feet. "Hull breach on deck 3, said Wubin. "Sealing it now. Engines are still working, but barely." More energy blasts hit the ship. Each one made it shake harder. The humans held on to whatever they could find. They were being thrown around like dolls. "They are not trying to destroy us," said Dr. Sujin as she studied the attack patterns. "They are trying to disable us. They want us alive." This made everyone feel worse, not better. If the aliens wanted them alive, it probably meant something terrible was going to happen to them. The Vorthak ship stopped firing. It moved right next to the human ship. Metal arms came out of its sides. They grabbed the new soul and held it. Tight! The humans could not move anymore. "Boarding pods launching," said Hanul. "They are coming over to our ship." Through the windows, they could see small ships leaving the alien vessel. The ships looked like metal spiders. They attached themselves to the new soul's hull. The humans heard drilling sounds as the aliens cut through their ship's walls. "How long until they get inside?" asked Captain Daeho. "Maybe 10 minutes, said Wubin. The hull is not very thick. Daeho looked around at his crew. These were good people. Scientists who had dedicated their lives to learning about the universe. They did not deserve this, but maybe their sacrifice could help others. "Everyone listen to me," he said. "We are probably going to die today, but we can still help humanity. Keep studying these aliens. Learn everything you can. Maybe someday it will help our people fight them." The drilling sounds got louder. Soon the aliens would be inside their ship. The first contact between humans and the Vorthak had gone very wrong, but the humans were not giving up. They were still thinking, still learning, still hoping that somehow their knowledge could make a difference. Dr. Sujin looked at her scanner. Readings, one more time. The alien energy patterns were very complex, but not impossible to understand. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way to fight back. She began recording everything she could see. If they were going to be captured or killed, at least the information might survive. The sound of cutting metal filled the air. The Vorthak were almost through. The metal wall exploded inward with a loud bang. Sparks flew everywhere as pieces of hot metal scattered across the floor. Through the smoking hole came the first Vorthak warrior. It was tall, almost 3 meters high. Its skin was covered in dark scales that looked like armor. Its eyes glowed yellow in the dim emergency lighting. Sharp claws extended from its hands. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. "Surrender now, small creatures. You will come with us." Captain Daeho stood in front of his crew. His heart was beating fast, but his voice stayed calm. "I am Captain Daeho Kim of the human vessel New Soul. By what right do you attack a peaceful research ship?" The Vorthak warrior laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Rights are for the strong. You are weak. We are strong. This is how the universe works." More Vorthak came through the hole. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. The humans backed away slowly. They had nowhere to run on their own ship. But something strange happened. Instead of panicking like most species did, the humans started doing something the Vorthak had never seen before. They began working. Dr. Sujin quietly moved to her portable scanner. She pointed it at the aliens and started recording data. Her hands shook, but she kept working. She was studying the enemy even while they threatened her life. Wubin stepped backward toward an emergency panel. His fingers found the controls without looking. He began typing in commands. To the aliens, it looked like fear. But Wu Bin was actually changing the ship's systems. Hanul kept her communication station active. She was still sending data to Earth. Every second of this encounter was being recorded and transmitted. Future humans would know what happened. "Here, you study us?" asked the lead Vorthak warrior with surprise. "While we point weapons at you? Knowledge is never useless," said Dr. Sujin without looking up from her scanner. "Even if we die, others can learn from what we discover." This confused the Vorthak. Every other species they had conquered spent their last moments begging for mercy or crying in fear. These humans were treating their capture like a research project. More Vorthak boarded the ship. Soon there were 20 of them on the bridge. They surrounded the humans but seemed unsure what to do next. The humans were not acting like proper victims. Commander Thekvor received reports from his boarding party. "Sir, the humans are behaving strangely. They do not seem afraid. They are studying us with their devices." "Studying us?" Thekvor was puzzled. What could they possibly learn? "They are primitives with basic technology. Should we stop them?" Thekvor thought about this. He was curious now. In all his years of hunting, no prey had ever tried to study his people during capture. "Let them continue. I want to see what these creatures think they can discover." On the human ship, Captain Deho realized something important. The aliens were not killing them immediately. They seemed interested in human behavior. This gave him an idea. "Hanul," he said quietly. "Start broadcasting on the emergency frequency. Tell any human ships in the area to stay away." "Sir, that will reveal our location to anyone listening?" "Exactly." Deho smiled grimly. "But it will also tell them what we learned about these aliens." Hanul began broadcasting. "Warning to all human vessels. We have encountered hostile alien forces. Species appears to be highly advanced but overconfident. They use energy weapons and boarding tactics. They seem to capture rather than destroy. Recommend extreme caution." The Vorthak intercepted this transmission. They were amazed. Instead of calling for help, the humans were warning others to stay away. They were sacrificing themselves to protect people they had never met. "These humans are very strange," said one of the Vorthak warriors to his commander through their communication device. "They act like they care more about their species than their own lives." This was true. While other species fought desperately for individual survival, the humans seemed to think about their entire race first. Dr. Sujin continued scanning the aliens. Wu Bin kept modifying ship systems. Hanul transmitted everything they learned. "Tell me about your people," said the lead Vorthak warrior to Captain Deho. "How many worlds do you control?" "We come from one world called Earth," Deho answered honestly. "We are explorers, not conquerors." "One world?" The warrior seemed surprised. "Then you are even weaker than we thought. How do you survive with so few numbers?" "We help each other," said Dr. Sujin, still working with her scanner. "We share knowledge. We work together." The Vorthak found this concept difficult to understand. Their society was based on strength and dominance. The idea of cooperation was foreign to them. Commander Thekvor decided to come aboard the human ship himself. He wanted to see these strange creatures up close. When he arrived, he towered over the humans like a giant. "I am Thekvor, commander of this fleet. You will tell me about human military strength." "We have no military in space," Captain Deho said truthfully. "We are scientists and explorers." Thekvor looked around the bridge. The ship had no weapons, no armor, no defenses, yet these humans showed no fear. "If you have no weapons, how do you defend yourselves?" "We learn," said Dr. Sujin simply. "We adapt. We remember." "Learning cannot stop weapons," laughed Thekvor. "We'll see," said Wu Bin quietly from his position near the engineering controls. Something in the engineer's voice made Thekvor pause. There was no fear there, no desperation, just a quiet confidence that seemed out of place for a captured prisoner. Dr. Sujin had been scanning the aliens for almost an hour now. She had discovered something interesting. The Vorthak were physically strong, but their technology had weaknesses. Their weapons needed time to recharge. Their armor had gaps. Most importantly, they seemed to rely on fear and intimidation rather than careful tactics. "Captain," she said quietly, "I have learned some interesting things. Share them with the others," Daeho replied, knowing Hanul would transmit whatever they discussed. Dr. Sujin began describing Vorthak weapon systems, armor weaknesses, and behavioral patterns. To the aliens, it sounded like scientific curiosity. They did not realize the humans were creating a tactical analysis of their enemy. Thekvor was beginning to feel uncomfortable. These humans were not reacting properly. They should be broken and defeated by now. Instead, they seemed to be treating their capture as a learning opportunity. "Enough questions," he declared. "You will come to our ship now. You will be studied, like the specimens you are." But as the Vorthak began to escort the humans off their ship, Wubin pressed a final button on his control panel. Deep in the ship's systems, programs he had been writing began to activate. The new Soul's computers started recording everything about Vorthak technology that came near the ship. The humans walked calmly toward the alien vessel. They did not resist or struggle, but they also did not stop working. Hanul carried a small transmitter that continued sending data. Dr. Sujin held her scanner, still gathering information. Captain Daeho observed everything, memorizing details. That might be useful later. As they entered the massive Vorthak ship, the humans saw corridors filled with strange technology and alien artwork. Everything was designed to intimidate and inspire fear. But instead of being frightened, the humans were fascinated. "Remarkable," whispered Dr. Sujin as she looked around. "The engineering principles are completely different from ours." Thekvor heard this and shook his head. Even as prisoners aboard an enemy ship, these humans continued to study and learn. He had never encountered anything like them before. For the first time in his long career as a hunter, he wondered if he had made a mistake. The hunt had begun, but it was not going as planned. The prey was supposed to be helpless and afraid. Instead, they seemed to be studying their predators with the same intensity that scientists studied interesting specimens. Something was very wrong with this picture, but Thekvor could not figure out what it was. The holding cell was made of some kind of energy field. Blue light formed walls that the humans could not pass through. The Vorthak had put all 4 humans in the same cell. They thought this would make the prisoners feel safer and more willing to cooperate. They were wrong. Captain Daeho looked around the cell carefully. Dr. Sujin examined the energy field with her small scanner that the aliens had not bothered to take away. Hanul tested different radio frequencies on a tiny transmitter hidden in her sleeve. Wubin studied the alien technology visible through the transparent walls. "The energy field operates on a rotating frequency," whispered Dr. Sujin. "It changes every few seconds to prevent escape attempts." "Can you map the pattern?" asked Daeho quietly. "Already working on it." Sujin smiled. "These aliens are advanced, but they follow predictable engineering principles." In the ship's command center, Thekvor watched his prisoners on a viewing screen. Other Vorthak commanders stood beside him. They had conquered 43 different species over the years. None had ever acted like these humans. "They are still studying us," said Subcommander Graktul with disbelief. "Even in a prison cell, they examine our technology." "It does not matter," replied Thekvor, but he sounded less certain than before. "Knowledge without power means nothing. Should we begin the interrogation?" Thekvor nodded. "Bring the captain first. We will learn about human weaknesses." 2. Guards escorted Captain Daeho to an interrogation room. The room was designed to frighten prisoners. dark walls covered with images of previous victims, bright lights that hurt the eyes, strange sounds that played continuously. Daeho sat in the metal chair and looked around with interest rather than fear. "Psychological warfare techniques," he said calmly. "Quite effective, I imagine, on species that value individual survival. Above all else." Thekvor entered the room. Up close, he was even more intimidating. His claws scraped against the metal floor as he walked. "You will tell me about human military forces." "I told you before. We have no military in space. Earth has armies for planetary defense, but no space navy." "Impossible." Thekvor leaned closer. "No species expands into space without weapons. We expand through curiosity, not conquest," Daeho explained. "We want to learn about the universe." This made no sense to the Vorthak commander. In his experience, all intelligent species were driven by the need to dominate others. "You lie. Your people must have warriors." "We have soldiers on Earth, yes, but they stay on Earth to protect our home. Ships like mine are for exploration and research." Thekvor studied the human's face for signs of deception. He found none. Either this creature was an excellent liar, or humans really were as weak as they appeared. Meanwhile, in the holding cell, Dr. Sujin had made a breakthrough. "I have mapped the energy field pattern," she whispered to the others. "It has a gap every 47 seconds that lasts for 3 seconds. "Long enough to get through?" asked Wubin. "If we move fast, yes. But we would need somewhere to go." Hanul had been listening to alien communications with her hidden transmitter. "I have been intercepting their messages. This ship has 68 crew members. Most are in the engine room or on guard duty. The command center has only 8. "The odds are still terrible," said Wubin. "Yes," agreed Dr. Sujin. "But we have learned something important. These aliens expect their enemies to surrender quickly. They are not prepared for prolonged resistance." Back in the interrogation room, Thekvor was becoming frustrated. No matter what he threatened, the human captain remained calm and helpful. Daeho answered questions honestly but without fear. "You do not beg for your life," Thekvor observed. "Why not?" "Because begging would not help my people learn about you," Daeho replied simply. "My life matters less than the knowledge we can gain." "Knowledge!" Thekvor repeated with disgust. "You speak of it like a weapon." "It is the only weapon that matters in the end," said Daeho. "Physical strength fades. Technology becomes outdated, but knowledge grows stronger with time." For reasons he could not explain, this statement made Thekvor uncomfortable. He had spent his entire life believing that strength was all that mattered. The idea that weak creatures could possess something more powerful than weapons seemed impossible. "Bring the female scientist," he ordered his guards. "Perhaps she will be more reasonable." Dr. Sujin was brought to the interrogation room next. She looked around with the same scientific interest that had puzzled the aliens before. "Fascinating architecture," she commented. "The metal composition suggests advanced metallurgy techniques." "You will tell me about human defensive capabilities," demanded Thekvor. "Our defenses are primarily intellectual," Sujin replied. "We study problems until we understand them. Then we develop solutions." "Intellectual defenses," Thekvor laughed harshly. "Thoughts cannot stop energy weapons." "Cannot they?" Sujin tilted her head thoughtfully. "Your weapons rely on specific energy frequencies. Change those frequencies and the weapons become useless. Your ship's hull has a crystalline structure that could be disrupted by the right sonic vibrations. Your communication system uses quantum entanglement that could be jammed with proper interference patterns." Thekvor stared at her in shock. In the few hours since her capture, this human had analyzed Vorthak technology deeply enough to identify multiple vulnerabilities. No prisoner had ever done anything like this before. "How do you know these things?" he demanded. I observed and learned, Sujin said simply. It is what humans do. The interrogation continued for several hours. Each human was questioned separately, but they all gave the same message. Humans survived through cooperation, learning, and adaptation. They did not conquer other species because they did not need to. Knowledge was their weapon and their shield. By the time the interrogations were finished, Thek Vor was deeply troubled. These humans possessed capabilities that his people had never encountered. They could analyze and understand Vorthak technology faster than seemed possible. They showed no fear and would not be intimidated. Most disturbing of all, they acted like they had already won. When the humans were returned to their cell, they immediately began sharing information. Each had learned something during their interrogation. Together, they now had a complete picture of Vorthak capabilities and weaknesses. Their ship has 42 weapon systems, reported Daeho, but only 6 backup power sources. The hull is strongest at the front and weakest near the engine section, added Hanul. Their communication array is located on the upper deck with minimal protection, said Wu Bin. Dr. Sujin nodded. And I have identified the exact frequency needed to disrupt their energy weapons. They had been prisoners for less than 1 day, but they had already gathered enough intelligence to plan an effective counterattack. The Vorthok, who thought they were interrogating helpless prey, had actually been providing a detailed briefing to their future enemies. That night, as the alien ship traveled through hyperspace toward Vorthak territory, the humans put their plan into action. Using the gap in the energy field that Dr. Sujin had discovered, they escaped from their cell during a shift change when fewer guards were on duty. The Vorthak had made a critical error. They had assumed that weak-looking creatures would remain weak even when captured. They had not considered that humans might use imprisonment as an opportunity to gather intelligence and plan a counterattack. As alarms began ringing throughout, the alien ship, Thek Vor, realized that his easy hunt had become something much more dangerous. The prey had revealed their true nature, and it was not what he had expected. The alarm sounds echoed through the Vorthak ship like screaming metal. Red lights flashed in the corridors as guards ran toward the empty prison cell. But the humans were not where the aliens expected them to be. Captain Daeho led his team through maintenance tunnels that Wu Bin had spotted during their capture. The engineer had memorized the ship's layout during their walk to the holding cell. Now that knowledge was saving their lives. The communication array is 2 levels up, whispered Hanul as they crawled through a narrow passage. If we can reach it, I can send our intelligence back to Earth. How long do you need? Asked Daeho. 5 minutes to upload everything we have learned. Maybe 10, to include detailed scans of their technology. Dr. Sujin checked her scanner. 26 Vorthak are searching for us on this level. They are moving in groups of 4, checking every room. Good, said Daeho with a grim smile. That means fewer guards at important locations. The humans moved through the alien ship like ghosts. They had learned to think like their captors during the interrogations. The Vorthak expected escaped prisoners to run toward the hangar bays or try to find weapons. They did not expect them to head deeper into the ship toward critical systems. Wu Bin found what he was looking for in an engineering section, cables thick as his arm carried power throughout the ship. These feed the weapon systems, he explained quietly. Dr. Sujin, what was that frequency you mentioned? Sujin adjusted her scanner to emit a specific sonic vibration. When she pointed it at the power cables, they began to vibrate slightly. It will take a few minutes to build up enough resonance to cause damage. Do it, ordered Daeho. Hanul, get to that communication array. I will create a distraction. Sir, you cannot fight all those aliens alone, protested Wu Bin. I do not plan to fight them, Daeho replied. I plan to outsmart them. The captain made his way to the ship's central computer core. It was guarded by only 2 Vorthak, since no prisoner had ever tried to reach such a technical area before. Daeho waited until they were looking away. then stepped into view. "Excuse me," he said politely. I seemed to be lost. The guards spun around in shock. They had been searching for the humans for 2 hours without success, finding one calmly standing. In front of them was the last thing they expected. "Prisoner escaped," one guard shouted into his communicator. "Central Computer Core, send reinforcements." "There is no need for violence," said Dayho, raising his hands. "I surrender." But the guards were suspicious now. This human was too calm, too confident. Something was wrong. As they moved to capture him, Dayho began asking questions about the computer systems around them. He acted like a curious scientist rather than a desperate prisoner. "Fascinating design," he commented, looking at the alien technology. "The processing speed must be incredible. How do you prevent system overloads with this much power flowing through such small circuits?" The guards did not understand why their prisoner was asking technical questions. They called for backup and tried to restrain Dayho, but he kept moving around the room, examining different systems and making observations. Meanwhile, Hanul had reached the communication array. The area was lightly guarded because the Vorthok never expected prisoners to attempt long-range communications. She quickly connected her equipment to their systems. "Earth Command, this is Communications Officer Hanul Cho of the research vessel New Seoul," she transmitted on the emergency frequency. "We have detailed intelligence on hostile alien forces. Uploading complete tactical analysis now." The data flowed from her transmitter to the alien communication system and then across space toward Earth. Everything the humans had learned about Vorthak technology, tactics, and weaknesses was now on its way home. Down in the engineering section, Dr. Sujin's sonic device had been working for 15 minutes. The power cables were vibrating more and more violently. Stress fractures began to appear in their protective coating. Wu Bin watched the readings on his portable scanner. "Power fluctuations detected. Their weapon systems are starting to fail." "How long until complete shutdown?" asked Sujin. "Maybe 30 minutes if the resonance cascade continues." In the computer core, more guards had arrived to help capture Captain Dayho. But the human captain was not acting like a normal prisoner. He continued to study their technology and ask questions even as they surrounded him. "Your quantum processing matrix is impressive," he said to the guard commander, "but there seems to be a weakness in the isolation protocols. What happens if someone introduces a recursive loop into the system?" As he spoke, Dayho secretly pressed several buttons on a nearby control panel. He was not trying to damage the computer. He was uploading a virus that Wu Bin had designed during their imprisonment. The engineer had written the code using mathematical principles that would work on any quantum computer system. The virus was simple but effective. It would copy itself repeatedly until it filled all available memory space. Then the computer would slow down trying to process millions of identical programs. "Enough questions," ordered the guard commander. "You will return to your cell now." "Of course," agreed Dayho. "I have learned what I came here for anyway." The guards did not understand what he meant by that. They escorted him back toward the holding area, not knowing that he had just infected their main computer with a digital disease. 20 minutes later, the Vorthak ship began experiencing multiple system failures. Weapon power dropped to 30%. Navigation computers started giving incorrect readings. Communication systems began broadcasting random static. Commander Thekvor arrived on the bridge to find chaos. "Report," he demanded. "Sir, we are experiencing cascading failures throughout the ship," replied his technical officer. "Power systems are fluctuating. Computer responses are slowing down. I cannot identify the cause." Thekvor realized what had happened. The humans, they did this somehow. "But sir, they were locked in a cell. How could primitive creatures damage our advanced systems?" "Because we underestimated them," Thekvor said grimly. "They are not primitive. They are something else entirely." The humans had been recaptured, but the damage was done. Their intelligence data was on its way to Earth. The Vorthak ship was crippled and limping through space. Most importantly, the aliens now knew they were not dealing with helpless prey. In their cell, the four humans sat quietly and waited. They had accomplished their mission. Earth would be warned about the Vorthak threat. Future encounters would not catch humanity by surprise. How long until your virus completely crashes their computer? Asked Dr. Sujin. 6 hours, replied Wu Bin. Maybe 8 if they figure out how to start deleting files. And the power system resonance? 4 hours until their weapons are completely offline. Captain Daeho nodded with satisfaction. Then we have given our people enough time to prepare. Hanul checked her hidden transmitter. I am still receiving confirmation signals from Earth. They got our data package. The trap had been sprung, but not the way the Vorthak had planned. They thought they were hunting weak prey that would be easily captured and studied. Instead, they had captured intelligence agents who turned imprisonment into an opportunity for espionage and sabotage. Commander Thekvor stared at the humans on his viewing screen. They sat calmly in their cell, showing no signs of distress or fear. They acted like people who had already won a victory. For the first time in his long career as a hunter, Thekvor began to wonder if his people had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not like any species he had encountered before. They were something new and dangerous, something that might be more predator than prey. 3 days later, space around the damaged Vorthak ship began to change. Energy signatures appeared on their sensors. Not 1 or 2 ships, but dozens of them. The human reinforcements had arrived. Admiral Jinwoo Nam stood on the bridge of the battleship Incheon Rising and studied the alien vessel on his main screen. It was larger than any human ship, but it was also crippled and drifting. The intelligence sent by Captain Daeho's team had been very useful. Sir, we count 47 human ships in the fleet, reported his tactical officer, all armed and ready for combat. Good, said Admiral Nam. But remember, our people are still prisoners on that alien ship. We want them back alive. The human fleet had been preparing for this moment since Hanul's transmission reached Earth. Military engineers had worked around the clock to build weapons based on Dr. Sujin's analysis of Vorthak vulnerabilities. Ships that had been designed for exploration were quickly fitted with combat systems. On the Vorthak ship, alarms were ringing again. Commander Thekvor rushed to his command center to find his crew in panic. Sir, human ships are surrounding us, reported his sensor officer. They appeared without warning. Thekvor looked at the display screen in disbelief. The small, weak humans had somehow assembled a battle fleet in just 3 days. It should have taken them months or years to organize such a response. How many ships? He demanded. 47 confirmed, sir. More are still arriving. Impossible. The humans told us they had no military in space. Perhaps they lied, sir. Thekvor thought about the interrogations. The human captain had seemed honest about his people having no space navy. But looking at the fleet surrounding them now, that was clearly false. He did not understand that humans could build a military force faster than any species in the galaxy when they were threatened. Earth's entire industrial capacity had been turned to war production the moment they learned about the Vorthak threat. Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet, announced his communications officer. Put it through. Admiral Nam's voice filled the Vorthak command center. Vorthak vessel. This is Admiral Jinwoo Nam of the Human Defense Fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned. Release our people immediately. Thekvor responded with false confidence. Human Admiral, you are making a mistake. We are not afraid of your primitive weapons. Perhaps you should be, replied Admiral Nam calmly. We have had 3 days to study your technology thanks to our people aboard your ship. We know exactly how to hurt you. To prove his point, Admiral Nam ordered a demonstration. 1 human ship fired a single energy beam at the Vorthak vessel. The beam hit the hull and caused massive damage. The aliens had never seen their armor penetrated so easily. Impossible, whispered Thekvor. Our hull can withstand any weapon. but Dr. Sujin had discovered the exact frequency that would disrupt Vorthak hull material. Human weapons were now calibrated to that frequency. What had once been impenetrable, armor was now as fragile as glass. "Release our people now," Admiral Nam repeated, "or we will destroy your ship." Thekvor was trapped. His weapons were still offline thanks to Wubin's sabotage. His computer systems were barely functioning because of Daeho's virus. His hull could not protect him from human weapons. For the first time in his life, he was the helpless one. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his first officer. Thekvor looked around his command center. His crew was waiting for him to make a decision, but all his options were bad. If he fought, his ship would be destroyed. If he surrendered, his reputation as a great hunter would be ruined. "Open a channel to the human admiral," he said finally. Admiral Nam's face appeared on the main screen. He was younger than Thekvor had expected, with calm eyes that reminded the alien commander of the human prisoners. "I am Commander Thekvor of the Vorthak hunting fleet," he said formally. "I wish to negotiate." "There is nothing to negotiate," replied Admiral Nam. "Release our people. Surrender your ship. Submit to questioning about your people's activities. These are not requests. And if I refuse, then you will die, and we will take our people anyway." The honesty of this response surprised Thekvor. Most species he had dealt with would have made threats or tried to bargain. The humans simply stated what would happen. "You would destroy us without mercy?" he asked. "You attacked our people without provocation," Admiral Nam replied. "You captured them and planned to experiment on them. Why would we show you mercy that you did not show to us?" Thekvor realized he had no answer to this question. The humans were using his own logic against him. Strength against strength. The difference was that they were now stronger. "Sir, long-range sensors detect more human ships arriving," reported his tactical officer. "The fleet is now 63 vessels, and growing." The numbers kept getting worse. Earth was sending everything they had. Within hours, the human fleet would be large enough to conquer Vorthak space if they chose to do so. How did they build so many ships so quickly? Thekvor wondered aloud. "They did not build them," came a voice from behind him. Captain Daeho and his team had been brought to the command center under guard. They converted them. Every research ship, cargo vessel, and transport in human space has been fitted with weapons based on Dr. Sujin's intelligence. "You planned this," accused Thekvor. "We hoped for it," corrected Daeho. "We knew our people would come for us if possible. We made sure they would have the information needed to succeed." Dr. Sujin stepped forward. "Your technology is impressive, but it has critical weaknesses that your people never considered. You have been so successful for so long that you stopped innovating. That made you vulnerable." "Humans adapt faster than any species we have encountered," added Wubin. "Give us 3 days, and we can copy or counter almost any technology." Ha Newell held up her small transmitter. "And we never stop communicating. Every human ship out there knows everything we learned about your people." Thekvor stared at the 4 humans. In just 3 days, they had transformed from helpless prisoners into the architects of his defeat. They had turned his own ship into an intelligence-gathering platform and used their imprisonment to study his people's weaknesses. "Admiral Nam," he said into the communication channel, "I accept your terms." The surrender of the Vorthak ship was broadcast throughout human space and beyond. Other species that had been terrorized by Vorthak hunting fleets watched in amazement as the supposedly invincible aliens gave up without a fight. As Vorthak crew members were escorted onto human ships for questioning, Thekvor found himself face to face with Admiral Nam. "Your people are very dangerous," the alien commander said quietly. "Only when threatened," replied Admiral Nam. "We prefer to explore and learn, but we will fight when necessary." "What will happen to us now?" "That depends on you," said the Admiral. Help us locate other hunting fleets and free their prisoners, and you will be treated fairly. Continue to threaten innocent species, and you will be stopped permanently." Thekvor looked around at the human fleet surrounding his disabled ship. Each vessel was crewed by beings who had proven themselves capable of learning, adapting, and fighting with deadly efficiency. The hunters had become the hunted. The predators were now prey. And it had all happened because they had underestimated the species they thought would be easiest to conquer. The humans had not just defeated them. They had done something much worse. They had made the Vorthak afraid. 6 months after the surrender of Commander Thekvor's hunting fleet, the galaxy was a different place. Admiral Jinwoo Name stood in the command center of the new space station Harmony Point, watching ships from dozens of different species dock at the platform. The station was built where the first battle had taken place. It served as headquarters for the new Galactic Protection Alliance. Species that had been terrorized by the Vorthak for centuries now worked together under human leadership. Captain Dae-ho entered the command center carrying a data pad. His research ship, New Seoul, had been repaired and upgraded with the latest technology. But now it carried more than scientific equipment. It also had weapons and a crew trained in both research and combat. "The latest reports from the outer systems," Dae-ho said, handing the data pad to Admiral Nam. 43 former Vorthak hunting fleets have surrendered. 18 more are still being tracked down. And the liberated species? 237 different civilizations have been freed from Vorthak control. Most are eager to join the alliance. Admiral Nam nodded with satisfaction. The plan had worked better than anyone had hoped. By demonstrating that the Vorthak could be defeated, humanity had sparked rebellions throughout their empire. Former slaves were now free peoples. Dr. Soo-jin arrived with her own report. She had spent the last 6 months studying Vorthak biology and technology. Her research had led to medical breakthroughs that helped heal species damaged by alien experimentation. "The psychological rehabilitation programs are showing good results," she announced. "Species that were broken by Vorthak domination are recovering their confidence. Some are even beginning to explore space on their own again." "Excellent news," said Admiral Nam. "What about the Vorthak themselves?" "That is more complicated," Dr. Soo-jin admitted. "Their entire society was based on hunting and dominating others. Without that purpose, many of them are struggling to find meaning." This was the most difficult part of the aftermath. Defeating the Vorthak had been easier than deciding what to do with them afterward. They were dangerous, but also intelligent beings capable of learning and change. Wubin approached the group carrying blueprints for new ship designs. The engineer had been working with Alliance scientists to develop better technology for exploring and protecting the galaxy. "The new exploration ships are ready for testing," he reported. "They combine human adaptability with the best features of other species' technology. Each ship can serve as both research vessel and combat platform when needed." "Like the New Seoul," observed Captain Dae-ho with a smile. "Exactly. Every Alliance ship will be crewed by people trained in both science and warfare. We will never again be caught unprepared by threats like the Vorthak." Hanul joined them from the communications center. As the Alliance's chief communications officer, she coordinated information flow between hundreds of different worlds and species. "Incoming message from Earth," she announced. "The government wants a status report on the Vorthak leadership trials." The trials had been controversial but necessary. Vorthak commanders who had committed crimes against other species were being judged by representatives from all their victim civilizations. It was the first time in galactic history that such a comprehensive justice system had been attempted. "Commander Thekvor testified again yesterday," reported Admiral Nam. "His cooperation has been valuable in locating other hunting fleets." Thekvor had surprised everyone by becoming a key witness against his own people's crimes. The defeat by humans had changed him in fundamental ways. He now understood that strength without wisdom led only to destruction. "What will happen to him after the trials?" asked Dr. Sujin. He will spend the rest of his life helping to rebuild the civilizations his people destroyed, Admiral Nam replied. It is not enough to balance what was done, but it is a start. Phi. 4 humans who had started this transformation stood together looking out at the busy space station. Ships from dozens of worlds came and went constantly. Former enemies now worked as allies. The galaxy was becoming a safer place for all peaceful species. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had not been captured? Asked Captain Day-Ho. The Vorthak would have continued their hunting, said Dr. Sujin. Eventually they would have found Earth. By then it might have been too late. Our capture was the best thing that could have happened, added Wu Bin. It forced humanity to see the threat and respond quickly, and it showed other species that the Vorthak could be defeated, concluded Han Yul. Sometimes the greatest victories come from apparent defeats. Admiral Nam received another message on his personal communicator. Captain Day-Ho, your ship is ready for departure. Earth Command has approved your request for extended exploration missions. Where will you go first? Asked Dr. Sujin. The Andromeda sectors, replied Day-Ho. There are reports of unknown energy signatures that need investigation. And if you encounter hostile forces? Captain Day-Ho smiled. Then we will do what humans do best. We will learn, adapt, and overcome. The new soul departed from Harmony Point the next morning, heading into unexplored space with a crew of scientist warriors ready for whatever they might find. Behind them, the galaxy continued its transformation under human guidance. In a prison cell on a nearby world, former Commander Thek Vor sat reading reports about the Alliance's expansion. His people had thought they were capturing easy prey when they attacked the human research ship. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the entire galaxy. The humans had not just defeated the Vorthak, they had taken something much more valuable than any physical victory. They had taken the Vorthak's role as the galaxy's dominant power and used it to create something better. Instead of ruling through fear, they led through cooperation and mutual protection. Thekvor understood now what his people had really lost in that first encounter. They had not just lost a battle or even a war. They had lost their entire way of life. The age of predators ruling the galaxy was over. The humans had proven that intelligence, cooperation, and determination were stronger than raw aggression. They had shown that apparent weakness could hide incredible strength. Most importantly, they had demonstrated that even the most dangerous predators could be defeated by prey that refused to give up. In the end, the Vorthak had gotten exactly what they deserved. They had thought they found easy prey to hunt and capture. Instead, they had found something that hunted them back and won. The galaxy was safer now because of 4 humans who had refused to surrender even when all hope seemed lost. Captain Day-Ho, Dr. Sujin, Wu Bin, and Hanul had turned their capture into humanity's greatest victory. The predators had finally learned what happens when they underestimate their prey. The lesson had cost them everything they once were, but it had given the galaxy something much more valuable in return: peace, progress, and hope for the future. The humans had taken it all, and they were never giving it back.